Hi guys, welcome back to Live from the Tower. Hey, we have another
Yes.
episode, and I have a brand new guest that I have gathered up, and I am so excited about this show. I am your host, Minister Teresa Baker. I am an associate minister at the Garden of Prayer Christian Church, and I am under the leadership of our very fine pastor, the Reverend Dr. Brenda Tuggle. And I am excited to bring another episode of Live from the Tower. I never thought that I would get willing hearts. I mean, I have people in the queue, honey. Don't sleep on my show. I have people who are willing to come on and share with us, and it's so exciting to see. So, again, welcome back to another episode. And this episode is a little different. I will admit right from the start, this episode will be a little different because this is my very own baby. And I don't play about my child. Anybody who knows me knows I don't play about my son, and it is what it is. So let me put that disclaimer out there immediately. This is my heart. This is my reason why I do what I do, because I just want to make a better place, a better circle, and secure a little bit more stability for him and his generation. So I am excited to have my son who is willing to be here with me today and just share a little bit with us. So today we're going to talk a little bit about um, being a young Black man
Mhm.
with a anxiety disorder
Yeah.
and a struggling faith. So that alone it's a compiled subject that could, require several episodes. But we're gonna do our best tonight to just try to give an overview, a little perspective to what that is like. And I have my son who is willing to share. That is exactly his story. He is young, he is Black, he is a young man. He does have an anxiety disorder, and he does have a struggling faith. So I'm interested in this, and I do want to just go ahead and dive into the conversation and just see, let's see where we are, and let's see where we can absolutely get to. So
Yep.
without further delay, I do want my son to go ahead and open up the conversation a little bit. Hi, Derrick. Yeah.
Yes.
So
Hello. Hello.
I do this little yay, yay, because that's my audience that's coming.
Right.
I promise you they
Mhm.
coming. But until they come, yay! Welcome, Derrick. Thank you so much for
Hello.
coming on our show.
Thank you
So
for
why don't
having
you
me.
go
I
ahead
am
and
excited to be here. I'm excited to be here. I'm excited to have this discussion. I feel like it's a very important conversation to have. It's a conversation that's not had enough. And I'm hoping that, if I can say anything to touch just one person out there, then I feel like this is a successful conversation. So I'm definitely excited and I'm ready to have the conversation.
absolutely. So you're 23 now,
Yes.
and you're coming into your own. You're trying to figure out what's next. What am I going to
Hmm.
do with this newfound manhood? And I'm out here and I'm being a man in all kind of areas in life. And
Yes.
I have this little annoying anxiety disorder that is,
Yes.
you know, causing some focus and causing some attention over here.
Hmm.
And I have this faith background that teaches me that to believe in good, believe in hope, believe in better. So let's start off with just being a young Black man. Let's
Mhm.
start off with that because that in itself is very compiled. But what does that look like for you?
Being a young Black man is a very unique experience. I would say that. Um, it has definitely has its challenges, obviously, that we all know. Um, but there are a lot of things I feel like are not spoken of enough. Um, for example, like, us Black people, we have to work 10 times as harder everybody else to get even, a little bit of what is out there in the world. So it's a struggle and it's a lot of pressure because a lot of times, especially with this new generation, I feel like the new and up and coming generation of young Black people are on a very new and progressive wave. And there's a lot of generational curses being broken. And so there's a lot of firsts that are happening right now.
Wow.
So it's not a lot of we're like breaking barriers. So there's not a lot of past that we can go and look to.
Mm,
Kind of just going and we making a lot of it up as we go. Um,
wow. Wow.
especially like as far as like the mental health thing, it's being a man, not even just a Black man, a man, period, addressing his mental health is a big step because that
Wow.
requires a lot of vulnerability. And
Mm,
men and vulnerability aren't exactly the most, they don't always go hand in hand. So just being a vulnerable man is a challenge in itself,
but
and then being a vulnerable.
you raised two good points there. You raised the point of um being a young Black person. You kind of feel like you all are now laying brand new bricks.
Absolutely, absolutely, absolutely. As far as just
Mm,
our level of acceptance, our level of acceptance
come
of
on.
newness, and just things that we're not accustomed to, but are becoming the norm. You're seeing it a lot more, like different sexualities, different, gender people, their gender choice. Like it's very new, and it requires I feel a new level of acceptance that wasn't required before us.
Wow.
So yeah,
And I
it's
like
a lot
how
of
you said, I like how you said we are literally figuring out things as
yes.
opposed to that handing down.
Yes, and it's really tough because we're figuring out things, and yes, it's a more progressive and accepting generation, but it's also a very nitpicking generation. A lot of people, it can, people kind of look for their issues within things. Like some people look to have an issue, you know, they
Come
look
on,
to have an issue
that
with
ain't new.
something. Like, yeah, so like, and that's challenging in a situation where it's so many new things going on. And as a young Black man, it's definitely a challenge. And but it's like I said, it's a work in progress. We're learning as we go. And I just think we require a lot of patience. It
Well,
requires a lot of patience.
talk to me a little bit because I'm hearing something. And I'm not sure if I'm hearing it correctly. So I want you to talk to me a little bit about what I believe I'm hearing. So how do you feel about the exposure to mentorship and leadership? because I know me personally, and I'm 43 years old, and you're 23. So me personally, I have women in my life, strong, beautiful Black women that I confide in, and I call up crying, and I call up in distress, and they talk me off the edge, and they say, Teresa, no, you all the way up there. How did you get up there? I need you to land and talk to me about what's going on. So I have those resources in my life, thank the Lord. But talk to me a little bit about, how do you feel about your resources, as because I still think, even though you all are laying what you say are and new fresh bricks. So you feel that we are in a shift, and we're
Hmm.
laying new foundation, we're laying new bricks of acceptance. Fine.
Absolutely.
So talk to me a little bit about, how do you feel about the resources of mentorship? Because even with new, there are some things that are consistent from generation to generation. So talk to me about that.
Absolutely. I think that mentorship, and especially for me as a young Black man, I feel like mentorship, there's still quite a bit to be desired in that area,
Mm,
because like me personally, I know I don't I if I'm being honest, I don't really feel like I have many people at all older than me to call who will understand or try to understand
wow.
um what's going on currently. And I think that's what I mean by it's such a shift, because there are
Mm,
just things that's going on that just were not the norm or accepted back then. So it may not be looked at as a real problem. So
mm,
like anxiety, because it wasn't and it's not like a bad thing on the people, because even scientifically and medically, anxiety has come so far because there's
come
so much
on now.
attention being brought to it in our generation, that just was not there before. So um it's just breaking down different barriers, and I feel like we can help each other equally. Yes, there are things that uh an older person has experienced, and like you said, some things are just what they are, they don't change. But I feel like there's also a level of understanding that should come from the older people, being as though there is such a shift and there are a lot of new things going on. I think right now more than ever, um, there
Wow.
should be a lot of listening going on from the older generation, because it's just so different now. I feel like
Wow.
you can mentor, because like I said, some things don't change, but it is a lot that is changing. And I feel like if the older generation would listen more, and try to be more accepting of what they may not necessarily understand, but it is what it is. That's the younger generation's truth, and the truth is the truth, and you have to respect a person's truth.
You gotta come
And
on in here with the word.
yeah,
And
yeah,
I'm
because
really dead serious with that. I'm really dead serious when I say that. It sounds funny, I'm a comical person, but you better come in here with the word, because the truth does not change. And and
yes,
and that leads me to another subject area that I want you to touch on, because you come from faith.
yes,
You come from, so now you're 23, you
yes,
have a minister as a mother,
yes,
and your entire upbringing as a child is very, very church and very faith-based. Your father's side of the family is extremely believers and
absolutely,
faith-based. You come from preachers, ministers, pastors. Your dear grandmother is one of the strongest. She's one of my mentors, and she's a very strong woman of faith. So you come from
Absolutely.
that kind of sowing, that kind of covering, that kind of feeding into your life. And that will
Absolutely.
never ever not be what it is, because that is solid foundation. That is a sure
Hmm.
foundation. That is ground brick land that you can definitely stand on. So
Absolutely.
let's talk a little bit about where you are with God.
Where I am with God. So it's been a road. I'll say
Okay.
that. I will admit that at a younger age, I wasn't the most receptive to God
Okay.
and the church, and I wasn't the most receptive to it. Partly with just being young and just not really valuing it. But as I get older, I realize that and as different struggles come along, I pride myself on being able to get to the root of the problem and being able to find a
You got
solution.
that from me. You got that from me. He got that from me, y'all.
No, I really do. And so, but what I'm learning as I get older is that there are definitely times where a problem is just there, and sometimes you have to just you can exhaust every different avenue to try to figure it out, and you just keep hitting a wall. And then there just comes a
Mhm.
time where you have to just say, hey, I can't do this alone. I can't do this alone, and I need some kind of I need some help. and
Wow.
and there have been times where I've literally had to go to, and you mentioned my grandmother. There are times where she's told me, she sent me it was Psalms 23 before.
Come on, Miss
And she
Gotti,
said,
cover my baby.
yeah,
Cover my
and
baby.
yeah, she sends me passages when she realized that I'm under a lot of stress. And she says, read this and just try to relax and just put your faith in God that everything will be okay. And I cannot tell you how many times I have just, they say, let go and let God, and it has just worked out in my favor. And I'm just, as I get older, I just build my own evidence, my own
Mm.
experiences where it's like, I can't deny this. I can't deny this because this wasn't me. It absolutely was not me. It was something else. And I can't deny this. I may, and, and just as I get older, I'm definitely becoming more receptive that, this is God. This is God doing this. And I'm starting to realize that I have to surrender. There are times when you have to surrender and let him do his work. You do the best that you can, and you have to let God take care of the rest, because hard work and dedication and just putting the time in, that's all stuff that you can handle in the physical. But there's another side to it that it luck. And but I think that's God. I'm realizing that's God coming through for you. And I am realizing that more and more the older I get is that I am just not doing this. I'm really not doing the heavy lifting that I think I'm doing. It's the Lord.
Come
It's the
on with the
Yeah.
heavy
It's the
lifting.
Lord. It's the Lord. And you get so stressed out about the small things that you have, that really small things, because God is doing the real work, and I am becoming more and more receptive to that, and so much more appreciative and just thankful in that. Like, and I'm really starting to understand that, and I would love to grow more in that. Definitely,
Mm.
definitely.
I think back to an incident, and I have to share it because I strongly believe in foundation. I believe in laying sure foundation so that it can be stood on. And
Hmm.
did not get that until I started to lay a foundation of Christ in my life and in the people's lives that I encounter. So now I'm on a mission to lay that foundation wherever I go. And I didn't understand that under Apostle Tuggle. And I remember when you were about, I think you were like 11 or 12-ish, and I called Apostle and I said, Apostle, I want you to baptize Derrick. And I've been talking to him, and I used to have conversation with you about God and faith. And I called Apostle. I said, I want you to baptize Derrick at your neck when you do baptizing again. And Apostle, he was like, okay, well, I'm so glad to hear that, Rev was being Rev. I'm so glad to hear that. Bring them on down here. I baptized them, Rev accepted everybody. It didn't matter. And I called him, and I don't know what was going on at the time, but I knew I wanted to reach out to my spiritual leader, my spiritual father, and ask him to baptize my son, because I knew enough to cover my child. I knew enough of that. And we went, and Apostle baptized you, and we took pictures, and I was so happy because I knew something happened. I couldn't.
That was very special.
Put it
That
in
was
words.
very special. Yes.
And you remembered that.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
There is something to be said about laying foundation that I may not see it come to pass. You may not understand it in the moment, but there's something to be said about laying foundation in our young people. And it just really bothers me that you're out here, a young Black man, dealing with an anxiety disorder and a struggling faith, and you feel like you literally do not have someone that you can call. That is something that I would like to really, really apply some little focus to.
Yes, absolutely. And I honestly, I would love to, I don't really know how to necessarily fix it as far as for me, but what I do know is that I plan to take an initiative for who's coming under me. I feel like that's all I can really do. I can't
You get
make
that from me
anybody
too.
I can't make anybody want to, come in and, check in and make sure that, I'm doing this or I'm doing that. I can't force anybody to do that. At 23 years old and being an adult now, I have to do that for myself. But what I can do is take my experience and take that into account for the generation of under me. For example, I have a little cousin, my little cousin Robbie, and I've honestly had these thoughts recently that, because you mentioned a mentorship, and I've been thinking like, wow, I really don't have many people I can call. And so it makes me feel responsible to make sure that he knows that, I'm there for him. And I won't lie and say that I've always been had the most, been on it. I won't lie and say but as we have this conversation, and it's definitely as I get older, I'm realizing how important it is because I lack it. So I definitely plan to take a bigger role in making sure that he knows that, you have someone that whatever it is, you can trust in me, and I can I can be mad at you or anything, but I'm going to help you. I'm going to be there for you. And you have to, and it's so important to have that. And I realized what I missed. I realize more and more every day what I miss not having it. And there's so many crucial things that, I could have avoided had I had someone to tell me, hey, no, that will end this way, or that will end that way. And I have you, but you're my mother. There is a male perspective that it's just different. It's just different that I need, and I didn't really have it. So yeah, I definitely like I said, I can't force anyone to change. I can just let them know how important it is. But it's on them. It's on them. But I know that I plan to take an initiative to make sure that I do my part for who's coming under me. I
Well
feel like that's
done.
absolutely, and that's planting seeds. He may not. That's just by planting seed. Like he may not know. He may not even appreciate me being there as much as he maybe should. But that's not you know a reason to not be there for him. I know that as an older, I know how important it is.
Uh,
So I know that what I'm doing is the right thing. And he'll know that once he gets here, and he'll take the same initiative. It's just laying groundwork to be carried through generation.
And I love
So
that you say that, because the truth of the matter is, you most of us will not do what we're not taught and what we're not shown. In order for
right,
somebody to completely step outside of what they have been taught and what they have been shown, that has to be divine intervention and set apart. Most of
absolutely,
us are habitual and traditional. We're going to be who we're going to be, who we've been shown, and what we've experienced. Most people will not break and
that
completely break off and do something different. So I think
exactly.
it's not a bashing and I
Mm-mm.
got you of our leaders, people my age, and your dad and your grandfather. You had a
Not at
very
all.
active father. You had a
Absolutely.
loving grandfather who loved you to death.
To
And,
death, and I
and
love
but
them back.
people don't know what the next need until they know what the next need, because we're ever changing. We're
Absolutely,
ever
absolutely,
changing. Generations are changing. Exposure is changing. Knowledge is growing. We're learning more. We're seeing more. We're experiencing more. So leadership has to be readily available to accept the newness of the next
absolutely,
generation
absolutely. And they have to be willing to listen.
here.
They have
We
to be
gotta hear.
willing
And
to
the word of
listen
God
and hear.
says, the word of God says, I'm not gonna paraphrase because now I'm gonna start sounding like Mabel Simmons. But it you know me, I'm gonna start sounding real crazy. I'm not gonna paraphrase, but I do not play with the word of God. And it does reference that God will raise up an army that will be able to speak to the next generation of those who will hear.
Absolutely,
I will not be able to
absolutely.
send you directly there. If you inbox me, I promise you I can give you a direct location. But I know it says that. And knowledge is
Absolutely,
power. And so that power gives me the initiative. And like you said, that desire to start to walk into sowing seeds for the next generation.
absolutely. Yes, because you know how important it is. It's so
Yeah.
important to, just keep it going, just pay it forward. Or
Therefore,
to start anew. Even if you don't feel like you had it, you can. That's breaking the curse. That's
start
breaking the
again.
curse. You have to be willing to step outside and you say, even though I didn't have that, I know it's important, so I'm going to do this. You know,
Absolutely.
it's
I love
that's
it.
all it's about.
I have really, really, I thank you so much for doing this show because I really want to stress that you did not do this show because this is your mother's show and this was a favor to your mama. You did
Mhm.
this show because you really wanted to do this show. You,
Absolutely. This show is blessed. This show is very blessed. It's doing important work. It's doing very important work that needs to be done. And we may not touch every corner of the world, but who we touch matters. Everybody matters. It could be one person, it could be two people, it could be 5, 10, a million. Whoever we touch matters equally. So, I just want to do my part and speak my experience so that maybe, you never know what you may spark in another person just by speaking your truth. You never know what different way of thinking you could unlock in someone, what
mm,
different kind of belief they could have in themselves after hearing how you overcome or how just speaking your truth. You never know what you can unlock in another person. And if you can do that in just one person, you are successful.
you are
So
successful. You
yes,
are successful.
absolutely. Absolutely. So, um, I just really want to just stress that, like you said, I do deal with I was diagnosed last year with social anxiety disorder. And it explains so much. And I want to stress that there is nothing wrong with talking to a professional, because I will tell you from myself, I have Googled this and that and read this book and that book trying to figure it out. But I felt like I kept running into my own brain. I kept running into my own problems and it would confuse me. So there's nothing wrong with seeking an outside opinion from a professional who can just see you, just see you. Your brain can be so tricky, and its job is to maintain its health. However, it does that, whether good or good in a good way or a bad way, it's going to maintain its what it wants, and sometimes that can conflict. Your brain can just conflict with who you are in your soul and your heart. And that can be confusing to try to navigate. So there's nothing wrong with going to talk to a professional who can help you out. And there's nothing wrong with being vulnerable about what's going on with you, because I can attest that 95% of my day has anxiety involved in it. I can tell you that it has anxiety involved. So I have no choice but to be vulnerable, or I would be denying 95% of my day. You know what I'm saying? I have no choice to be vulnerable. I have no choice, or else I'm not living my truth.
You're not walking in the truth. God bless you.
Absolutely. So there's
My heart,
nothing wrong with
my poor heart, my poor heart is smiling so big. And I will put a disclaimer out there that yes, this show may be a little biased. I told y'all over and over again that my baby is absolutely beautiful, and now I've presented evidentiary support. So it is what it is. My baby
that.
heart is so absolutely beautiful. And I thank you so much for joining us on this episode. Oh my goodness. I have been
Absolutely.
blessed.
Absolutely.
I have been so blessed, and you are so beautiful. And eyes have not seen, and ears have not heard. I just know that the Lord just does what He does when we believe. He just does it. We don't understand it. We don't even begin to be able to see it, but he is so excellent and magnificent in what he does in a life of a willing heart.
Yes.
And just because
Yes.
you are willing to share, I can't even begin to fathom the doors that you will be able to walk through. I just,
Absolutely.
and we will see it when we see it.
And that
Thank
is faith.
you so much. And that is faith. That is faith. Thank you
Absolutely.
so much for
Thank
joining
you.
us. I absolutely love you, and I think you are absolutely beautiful, of course. And I'm not just saying that because you're my son. I do think you were beautiful. You are beautiful if you were somebody else's son. But
Thank
the fact
you.
that you're my son helps me put on my little crown right now. And I'm gonna put it on because it feels good. I love you. Thank you so much. Um, guys, I do want to make sure that I keep expressing if you are in a position where you want to know about the faith that we're talking about, the God that we're talking about. If you want to get to know what we're talking about, that faith walk, that belief in Jesus Christ and his resurrected power, if you want to know what that is all about, please, please, please do not hesitate to reach out to the show or come on down and visit us at the Garden of Prayer. We are a church that will open its doors on Sunday and all accept the here. Come on in, have a
Absolutely.
seat. Pastor will
Yes.
meet with you. We will align you. We will set you up with our little process that we do, but you will never ever be rejected. And that is the glory of God. We are accepting at the Garden of Prayer. Accept people, see them, hear them, process what is being sent your way. So we are happy, happy, happy in the Lord to receive.
Absolutely.
Come on
Absolutely.
down and talk to us. We will help
Absolutely.
guide you. There is nothing like guidance and assurance and a big old hug, some love wrapped around you. It means the world.
It
So
means the
again,
world.
I do want to thank our guest again this week, my very
Absolutely.
own son, Derrick Nikki, who is here.
Absolutely.
And you
Absolutely.
spoke so beautifully. I am just so overjoyed. I know
Thank
I
you.
will not be able to sleep because I just gotta thank God for the jewel that He gave me.
Thank
So
you. I
thank
love
you
you too,
so
Mom.
much. I love you so much. Thank you so much for
And
doing
to my
this.
young people, please just hang in there. You will be okay. It will be okay. It will be okay. Have faith. And when you run out of answers in the physical, talk to God.
Talk
Talk
to
to
God.
God. There is nothing that He cannot answer. He is all knowing. He is all knowing. There is nothing that He can't answer for you. Just talk to Him and have your faith. Believe. It's all just believe, believe, believe.
Absolutely. Thank you so much. And with that, we will close out another episode of Live from the Tower. And until next time, stay connected to the tower. I'm your host, Minister Teresa Baker. Until next time, stay here.
Goodbye.